This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Bacon 2018. And thank you for joining this session of the conference regarding IBM licensing updates. My name is Kevin Emanuel, and I'm going to be here to walk you guys through the content of this presentation and really answer any questions that you guys may have. I want to take a bit of a different approach, make this more of an interactive presentation. So as questions come up, feel free to stop me and ask questions. We will have a Q&A at the end as well, but happy to answer any questions as we're going through the content. Just by way of introduction, I'll kind of talk about myself real quick and introduce myself. As I mentioned, my name is Kevin Emanuel. I'm the Director of Software Solutions here at PM Square. And what that really means is that I help customers really understand everything that there is to know from a software solution standpoint. Anything, from a feature functionality, what the solutions are, what they can offer you guys, some of the past history of what we've done for other clients as they procure some of these solutions, but also more so on the licensing and the software itself as well. I have been in this industry for about 12, almost 13 years. First 2 to 3 years, I was doing analytics for a large organization. And I was more involved with the hands-on aspect of things, doing reporting and using different BI tools and so forth. And for the past 10 years, I've actually been on the other side of the fence, working with different IBM business partners and representing these products, and really helping our customers again not only understand the solutions themselves, but also assisting them from a licensing perspective and making sure they're in compliance and they do obtain the appropriate levels of licensing for the solutions that they do procure. So that's a bit of background for me. I'm happy to be here and bring this content to you guys. Yeah, with that said, I'll go ahead and jump right into it. So as far as an agenda, what I have here for you guys today is I want to talk about licensing in general, talk about different license models that are available, and really kind of let you guys know what the benefits, pros, and cons of some of these are, and give you a good understanding so that next time you think about, for instance, expanding your users. Next time you think about bringing on a new technology solution, you have all the information that you need at your disposal, so that you know which route to take when it comes to licensing that product. So we'll talk through all of these: authorized users, PVUs, concurrent users, cloud licensing, hybrid licensing, as well as flex points. And I left flex points at the very end because I want to spend a little bit more time talking about flex points, because it is one of the largest or the most recent announcements, license types that was recently introduced from IBM. And we see a lot of our customers, going in this direction, either buying everything new that they're buying in flex points format, or taking their existing license model and transitioning it to flex points, because it does give you a lot of flexibility the way that you can deploy those solutions. So I'll spend the second part of the presentation with kind of getting through flex points and understanding what the nuances are, what the pros and cons are, so that you have a good understanding of that. And then again, at the end, we do have a Q&A session that I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions that you guys may have afterwards. So with that said, let's jump right into it. And before we go any further, I do have to put up a disclaimer, essentially saying that the information that we're presenting here is not set in stone. Things do change from time to time, especially license policies. So we just gotta kind of put this up here and let you know that if things happen or change, down the road, we're not being held liable for the things that we present today. And I've honestly, for the past 10 years that I've been doing this, licensing policies have changed a number of times. So another reason that we have to kind of start with this disclaimer here. Okay, so with that said, let's jump right into it and talk about the licensing models. First and foremost, the authorized user license model. This is probably the most common license type, so I'm sure all of you are familiar with it and kind of how it works. But essentially, an authorized user license is a license that's assigned to an individual user. It can't be shared across different users. And it is a tiered-based licensing model, which means that you have different tiers of licenses depending on the level of access that you need, whether you need to be an administrator, more hands-on power user, or an end user, there are specific license types that are available for those purposes. I want to keep referring back to this grid and really kind of tying each license model to specific products within the data science and business analytics portfolio, and letting you guys know which products are available at which license tier. So for authorized users, Cognos Analytics, Planning Analytics, SPSS, data science, data decision optimization are all available in this model. Again, it's the most common and the most widely used license type. So as you can see, almost all of the products within the DS and BA portfolio are offered with the authorized user license model. A couple of pros and cons of this particular license type. Authorized users, there are really a lot of pros, I would say, in general. One of the main benefits of it is that it's probably the most economic and the most cost-effective route to take when it comes to licensing a product. Depending on the product itself, you can have an environment up and running by just purchasing a single license of the product with authorized users. Obviously, with cloud licensing, it's a little bit different, but it is the most cost-effective route to take when it comes to licensing your products. The other thing that it really makes it beneficial is the fact that it's not tied to your architecture or your server power in any way, shape, or form. So if you were to buy any of these products, regardless of whether you install it on a simple laptop or on a server somewhere that's very powerful, that has no bearing on the price of the software licensing itself. And the last thing that I would say in terms of pros is that a single authorized user licensee can have access to as many different instances of a product that you choose to deploy within an organization. So if you do have a production environment of Cognos, for instance, and later on you have a need to add a non-production environment, a Q&A environment, a test environment, you don't have to have a license for every single one of those environments. You can access all of them with a single authorized user license that you have. That seems to be a pretty big benefit that and part of the reason that a lot of people choose this license model. As far as cons, I would say the only thing about it is that it does require more of a management of your users. So if you do have a scenario, for instance, where you're distributing reports maybe to an ever-changing group of customers, it does become a little difficult to always track who is licensed and who's not, as people join the group and as people are leaving that group. That's really the only downside of this license type. But in general, it is one of the most common ones that I mentioned that people usually use, right? The next license model is the PVU or processor value unit, which is there's probably the biggest contrast between authorized user and processor value unit in the way that it's really, in the way that it works, and the way that it's structured. So what is PVU-based licensing? It's server-based licensing, to where you license the server where the product sits on, and then you kind of open up the floodgates to all of your users to be able to access that product, as long as you stay within the certain capacity of the server that you've licensed. It's calculated based on processor power and server specifications. So really, again, it's a direct effect of how large and how powerful your servers are. There are some calculations in the back end that are used to calculate these, but it is more of a capacity type model. And then it's not limited to user count. So again, when you open up the floodgates, if you will, to all of your users, you don't have to keep count of who's using the product and who's not, as long as you have enough server power to keep the performance. Then there's around tracking the number of users that are on the system. And as far as the products that are available with PVUs, Cognos Analytics and Planning Analytics are both available. And Watson Explorer is also available. I do have an asterisk on here because Watson Explorer is also available in RVU model. RVU is essentially a similar format to PVU, but instead of taking in the server specs, it really kind of takes into consideration the amount of data that comes to the source content. And depending on the amount of data that's coming in, counted in terabytes, then the calculation for the pricing is calculated that way. But as far as the products that are available in PVUs, it's Cognos, Planning Analytics, and Watson Explorer, the three products. The next model we have is concurrent users. Concurrent users is essentially, as the name suggests, it's a single install licensing that can be used by multiple people. So you install the product on a server somewhere, and everyone can use the software in a check-in, check-out format from different locations. And it is also a tiered-based license model, similar to what we had with authorized users. And really, the only product that's available in a concurrent fashion within the data science and business analyst portfolio is SPSS. So we see a lot of people who really don't have a need to use the product on a consistent basis. They typically, when they purchase SPSS, they put it somewhere and give multiple people access to it because they're only using it in a very small increments of time throughout the month. The next one is cloud-based licensing. So cloud-based is really offered in both fashions, authorized and capacity. It is a subscription-based license model, meaning while some of the other ones, are authorized users perpetual licensing. Authorized user PVUs and concurrent licensing are all perpetual licensing, which means that you pay a certain amount to purchase the software, and then every year after that, you pay 20% of that for the subscription. Cloud-based licensing is a subscription-based model. So you pay a subscription fee, and that fee stays the same each year, year after year. Includes access rights and support for that price that you pay, and it is offered as both authorized users and capacity style licensing. So essentially, what you have available on premise, it's available on the cloud, but in a more of a subscription model. And as far as what's available with it, Cognos Planning Analytics, data science, and decision optimization are all available as cloud-based licensing. Yeah, I think this one's pretty straightforward. The last one is kind of bringing the best of both worlds together, which is hybrid licensing. This is also subscription-based licensing in the way that it's priced. It includes access to both on-premise and the cloud instance of the product. Offered as authorized users only, so there's no capacity or license model with this. And it does provide access, like I said, to both on-premise and a cloud environment of that solution. So in the scenarios where you may, you're acquiring a new technology and you really want to kind of get your, feet wet, see whether you would rather have something that's on-premise and kind of take on all the maintenance of the software yourself, or if you don't know if you want to have a subscription-based model to where I can offload all of that to IBM. This is a good way to get in and kind of evaluate both options, determine what you need, and then elect which route you want to take for the life cycle of the project. And both Cognos and Planning Analytics are available as hybrid licensing. The other ones are not. So Cognos and Planning Analytics are the only ones. And the next one that we have is FlexPoints. And as I mentioned, I want to spend a little bit more time kind of talking about the background as to why this was even introduced by IBM before getting into the details of what the license model is. So to kind of give you guys a little bit of background, I think it makes sense to take a step back and talk about some of the things that IBM did at the beginning of this year in terms of their overall go-to-market strategy. And one of the main things that they did that was different, and it makes a lot of sense to customers, is that they reorganized the way that the products are categorized within different portfolios as it relates to analytics. So there are three distinct portfolios. The first one is called Hybrid Data Management. This is where you have all of your information or data collection products. So essentially, you have all of your DB2 products in this platform. The second one is the Unified Governance and Integration portfolio, which has all the products that have to do with transformation of data. So whether it's ETL tools, whether it's data quality tools, MDM products, all of those fall within this category. And the last one, which is really the one that's most relevant to all of you guys in this room, is the Data Science and Business Analytics portfolio. This is where you have all of the analytics products that most of you have been talking about. Cognos, Planning Analytics, Data Science, decision optimization. All of those fall within this portfolio. So really, three distinct portfolios that are now offered. And part of the reason that FlexPoints was introduced is that IBM has always kind of positioned themselves as the vendor that gives you a platform of products. It's not a specific product that you buy and that's all that you have access to. You can really kind of take things from throughout the entire life cycle of data management, transformation of that data, and then analyzing that data. And there are a lot of different products within each of these portfolios. So what they want to do as part of this reorganization is to give their customers access to every single product that's within each of those portfolios. So if you have a particular product within data science and business analytics and you want to evaluate some of the other ones that are within that portfolio, they wanted to make it as easy as possible for customers to be able to do that. So how does FlexPoints work? Essentially and I'm going to talk about how it would work for a brand new customer or for existing customers purchasing a brand new product. And then I'll circle back and talk about how it would work for existing customers as well. So for a new product, for a new customer coming to IBM, the way that they would traditionally go about buying licenses is they look at how many administrators they have, how many power users they have, how many end users they have, and they would buy a specific number of licenses for each of those categories. And once they buy those licenses, they're kind of set into those those parameters. There's no way to trade down, trade up. Some scenarios you can trade up, but you can never trade down. So really, kind of once you get that mix of licenses, you're pretty much bound by those. With FlexPoints, it's a little different, to where instead of buying individual licenses, you buy the number of points that are required for those licenses that you need. And then once you buy those licenses, you select the portfolio that you need, and you buy the licenses, buy the points for that particular portfolio. From that point forward, you have the flexibility to move your points across different license tiers within that product. So for instance, if you start by, let's say you have one administrator, 5 power users, explorers, and let's say you have 20 end users, and you're going through an upgrade project and you need a couple of people to have administration capabilities, and you have some shelfware when it comes to your end user licensing. You can simply just grab those licenses and convert them to administrator licenses. There's no cost associated with that. There's no reordering of the product that's required. Really, you have the flexibility to spread your points that you have across different tiers, however it makes sense, whether for that product or as your needs really change over time, right? So again, you get the points, you spread them however you need to at the time. As time changes or as your requirements change for different license models, different users, you have the ability to spread them however you like. So if you take a quick look at how it would work for existing customers, it would work the exact same way. The only thing that you have to do is you have to trade up or transition your licenses from the traditional model to FlexPoints. There's a very small uplift that you would have to pay on your support cost to make this transition, make this trade up, because of the amount of value that it does bring. But it's very simple transition process. You simply transition whatever you have, the number of points that it would equate to in FlexPoints, and from that point forward, you have the flexibility of using FlexPoints. And if you circle back to those portfolios that we talked about and give you guys a better understanding of the products that fall within each of those categories, as I mentioned, hybrid data management really has all of different DB2 products that are within that portfolio. Unified governance and integration, again, all of the data transitioning, the data transformation solutions like information server, replication, MDM, entity analytics, lifecycle governance, and industry models. And again, the last one that really is most relevant to this group in data science and business analytics, you have products like Cognos, Planning Analytics, SPSS, DSX, Decision Optimization, and Watson Explorer, which is really, any product that you would need from an analysis standpoint, data analysis standpoint. So if you have, for instance, Cognos, you happen to have some shelfware because a certain number of users have dropped off or they're no longer within the organization, and you wanted to kind of dip your toes in the predictive world and try to take advantage of some SPSS, predictive analytics, or DSX, you can simply transition those points towards those products and start using them right away. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with is this hybrid cloud FlexPoints console that's available to you guys online. We'll share this content with you after the conference, and we'll include the link for this. This is an open link that's available to all of you. So you can come in and kind of play around with the points and see how they really work. If you were to redistribute some of the points that you have today across different products, how would it work? So essentially, you come in here, you select your portfolio at the very top. Data science and business analytics is what's selected here. Then as you enter the number of user licenses that you have, it tells you how many points are required for those products. Then at the end, it'll tally everything up at the top, and it tells you how many points you would need for that, for those solutions. So if you wanted to, for instance, if you have the traditional license model today, you can come in, put in all the quantities. It tells you exactly how many points you have. And then if you wanted to start redistributing and see how it would work, if you wanted to take some of your licenses across different products or redistribute them across different tiers, you can do so here. And then lastly, just wanted to leave this up here again, since we are going to distribute the content with you guys, an overview of everything we talked about, the different license models and the different, kind of features, if you will, that come with every model. And that is all I have. I appreciate all of you guys for coming in and sitting through this presentation. I will stick around for any individual questions that you may have for your particular scenario, or if you want to just discuss anything, I'll be around. So feel free to grab me, and we can have a conversation. Thanks again.